Thank God for that.
So, back to the Colosseum for my second attempt.
Hello, sir. I've got to do an audition.
Right, Mr. Earl, if you'd like to follow me, we'll go on down.
Down a corridor trodden by a succession of aspiring singers. Their careers depend on volunteering for ordeals like this distressingly often.
I think it's totally daunting to see this vast theatre, nearly 2,500 seater, and I think you'll be absolutely thrown. But the curious thing is that if you do it right, not very vast voices can reach well into this theatre.
I think there's probably a very great danger that you won't be heard. But I imagine that someone of your size should find it fairly easy, unless you are absolutely scared out of your wits and the saliva dries in your mouth and you simply can't get a word out because you're so scared of the cavern into which you're singing.
I couldn't hope for a job in the company, although the audition panel is out in force to give judgment. What I am aiming for is to persuade director David Pountney that I have enough potential for a part in his next production, The Gambler by Prokofiev. And there's a horribly expectant hush.
I'll announce you now. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Christopher Searle.
I'm going to sing Non più andrai from The Marriage of Figaro in English. Say goodbye now to pastime and play, lad. Say goodbye to your airs and your graces. Here's an end to the life that was gay, lad. Here's an end to your games with the girls. Here's an end to the life that was gay, lad. Here's an end to your games with the girls. Chest thrown out and shoulders back, sir. Hold your head up, not so slack, sir. Take your musket on your shoulder. That's the right style for a soldier. Duty calls you to death or glory. As to pay, that's another story. Quite another story. Quite another story. No more dances now, but training for a life that is campaigning. Yes, you'll find it quite exciting when you come to see some fighting, bugles calling, sabres flashing, cannons roaring, mortars crashing, headlong into danger dashing. That's the life you've got in store. Not for you, frills and feathers, not for you, hairs and graces, not for you, curls and ringlets, not for you, our sweet pretty faces.
I thought you did a job. You learnt it. You have a nice, light baritone. I said I thought you were going to sound like a bass when we first met. But I wonder what everybody else thinks. What do you think, Mark?
I'd agree, light baritone. The thing that struck me very clearly and was quite unexpected was the clarity of the delivery. Whether or not you would have been so audible over an orchestra, it's something I'm just thinking about at the moment, because that's the next step up, as it were.
You look well on the stage, stand well, and I think that you could be considered for parts in opera. Do you think so?
There is the role of the butler, Potapich, who it's a character role. It doesn't exactly need Pavarotti. The poor chap has been stationed outside the grandmother's door to fend off this mad general, and he basically keeps on saying, "You can't go in, you can't go in there, no, you can't go in." On and on and on, you see, like that. The important thing is that you arrive knowing the part completely by March the 21st.
March the 21st?
That's it.
That's 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'll be singing the part of Potapich for one night only. At the English National Opera's rehearsal rooms in North London, I'm going to enlist the help of the man who'll sing it on the other nights. He's been with the company for years, and he's affectionately regarded as one of the best character singers around. Eric Shilling.
Polka dance, oh that's the dance for me. With first of all to right, and then to left you see. Hold her close upon your arm, and wild with ecstasy. Spin her round and make her cry, hey, would be.
Potapich is a steward to an old lady, and David Pountney thinks that Potapich may be as much as 90. So
90 years old?
Yes, you've got a character part to play.
Well, shall we have a crack at it then? Prokofiev's opera version of Dostoevsky's novel was written in the First World War. This is the first time it's been put on here. Eric's already learnt our bit, so it's for him and repetitor Tom Wade, who fills in the part of the general, to teach it to me.
What do you want here?
You cannot go inside.
Have you gone mad as well?
Oh, sir, you can't go in.
What impertinence!
You can't go in. Oh, sir, you can't go in.
Fool!
That's your first fit, as it were.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's quite, it's not...
Not obvious, obviously.
No, it's quite modern music, isn't it?
Yes, I know what you mean. You don't get any big emotional arias or anything of a great tune. I'm afraid that is true. But then it is essentially a conversation piece. It's a dialogue opera.
Let's have a look at the next lot. This is a bit more tricky.
What do you want, you drivelling idiot?
My instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but I am only following my orders. My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Get off! Go!
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. You can't go in. You really can't go in.
What bitter shame!
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
Oh, I'm so ashamed.
You can't go in. You can't go in.
Crikey.
How's that?
It sounds extremely difficult.
Well, have a go anyway, Chris.
Bottom of page 190. What do you want, you drivelling idiot?
Lot's instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but no one may my orders. My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Get off! Go!
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. You can't go in.
What?
You really can't go in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You can't go in.
1, 2.
You can't go in. Can't go in. I've got a long way to go, haven't I?
I'm afraid you have. But we have every confidence in you, Chris, don't worry. Or some.
Once you commit yourself seriously to portraying the part and thinking about who he is and what he's trying to do and what the singing means in terms of the character, you'll find that there won't be any time to think too much about the ordeal that's to come. I think it'll give you some sleepless nights, but during the day you'll be very well supported by your colleagues.
Try that turnover once again.
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. My lady's very tired.
That's it.
You can't go in. You really can't go in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You can't go in.
1, 2.
You can't go in.
Bravo.
So it's just a matter of endless repetition. You learn the words, learn the music, and that's it.
This is only the start. This is just the foundation. After that, you've got to learn to be the character. To be an opera singer, you've got to be schizoid. You've got more than one thing to think of. You've got to think of the notes, the words, the conductor, your acting. Otherwise, you'll be just an automaton standing there delivering notes and words in a sort of petrified condition.
In his long and glittering career as the world's leading baritone, Tito Gobbi always put acting first. If I'm to play a 90-year-old, he should be able to show me how.
It's important to know how to move your feet, your leg, how to bend, how to turn. A young man can turn a head like this, an old man have to turn the whole body. The first time I performed Tosca, I was singing Scarpia at the Royal Opera House in Rome. And I met a friend outside the opera say, Gino, you don't say a thing to me. How was my performance? And he said, good, Tito, good. Oh, if you say good, Tito, means that something was really very bad. What was wrong? And the question was, he said, how old are you? I'm 27, I don't know, 28, I don't know what it was. And how old is Scarpia? In my interpretation, can be 49, 53, who knows? Then you walk like a man of 27. Say, you're right. I never thought. I never pay attention to my leg, to my way to move. So I went home. My father was on his 50, around 50, a little more. Say, Papa, please walk. And I was walking with him. Then we walk in the street. I said, but what, you are making fun of me? No, please, I have to learn. And I learned to put the weight, to be more heavy, to be slow motion a little bit, in turning the head, in moving the arm, etc. And finally, I went back, I had a second performance, and Gino, my friend, came up and said, now you're right.
Before I even start to get it right, I interrupt my operatic career by falling off my motorcycle. But at least a tape recording of the piano accompaniment allows me some quiet learning in a hospital bed.
But I am only following my orders. I apologize, but I am only following my orders. My lady specially requested me to guard... As far as the characterization is concerned, Potapitch is already supposed to be a 90-year-old. I wonder if we should change it slightly and make him into a 90-year-old with gout. Then I might get away with coming onto the stage with a huge plaster on my foot. If it is possible, I might come onto the stage on a pair of crutches. I hope not. I suppose I should be thankful for one thing, though. I wasn't asked to take part in the Royal Ballet.
The 2 weeks allowed for learning the part are up. In the rehearsal room, complete with scenery, the producer, David Pountney, introduces the General, with whom I'll share my big scene, played by John Tomlinson. There's never an orchestra at this stage, but there is a rehearsal conductor, Peter Robinson.
The situation is that he's been waiting all this time to inherit your mistress's money. She has suddenly turned up out of the blue. She's supposed to be dying, and proceeds to lose the entire fortune on the roulette table. And you take her off into her room, which is out through those doors, and then you come and stand guard, because you know that he's going to go berserk, because she's lost every penny. So you'll hear him say, all has been squandered, and that's when you finally get the courage to say, shh, be quiet. And then he says, you, what do you want here? And then off you go, like, my instructions are, no one's to, you go on, you should try and capture the sort of mechanical element of this, as though suddenly somebody goes, clink, and off you go. No one's going in here, I'm guarding this door. That's the sort of feeling of it, and sort of shuffling about, and always as though you're about to fend off some lethal fencer. Don't forget, your cue to go, shh, is all has been squandered.
Go inside. Oh, sir, you can't go in.
What impertinence!
You can't go in. Oh, yes, sir, you can't go in.
You fool!
I think you've got to do two things, really. One is that we must get the voice to sound more like an old man. It's a bit clean and sort of gentlemanly at the moment. And the other is almost the opposite. You've got to stop muttering it. It's got to be projected much more. At the moment, it's kind of for yourself. It's got to be for a lot of people and over an orchestra.
Therefore, it's very important for you to get it up in the mass. In other words, to get the vibration there, right? And the mask is, here's that,
Yes.
Instead of, that's the mask. To put it in the mask.
As if you're singing through your nose.
Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's what one aims for all the time. Every singer should aim to get forward.
Would that help me?
Well, at this particular point, you can think about it, but it's a bit late.
Out of my way, you blithering idiot!
My instructions are that no one may go in.
But I...
Chris, be careful in the first phrase that you don't get too fast. You know, that it's as I beat 2 beats in the bar, then we've got 2 of your notes to each beat, so it's a 1. My instructions are that no one may go in. Right. What you've got to get used to doing is just keeping an eye on me and keeping your rhythm in tune with my beat.
You're looking at the other characters on stage and so on, but out of the corner of your eye there's an awareness of what the conductor's doing. It's not as difficult in performance because he's got his white cuffs and his black evening suit, and you can see those white cuffs moving about fairly easily.
One pair of cuffs, observed by countless stars, belongs to Sir Georg Solti. For 10 years, Hungarian-born Sir George was musical director of the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. How do you act and sing and watch the conductor all at the same time?
You can look without looking. You don't do that. Good singer never do that. You come in and you have the conductor's left or right hand in your eyesight. Sometimes there's even much more tricks when, if it is an impossible position, most of the stage is having television sets. Left and right or up, and you look at that one. You follow the conductor's beat and without looking at all. You can do that also. But there is a magic way to communicate between a singer and a conductor if they know each other well. And providing you are a musical person, if you are unmusical, it can't do much with you anyway.
What happens if a singer comes in too early? What can a conductor do?
Hold! You want conductor stop him, and then when he's ready, you do that.
And if he comes in too late, there's nothing you can do. That works.
Lure him in.
And can you speed him up?
Oh yes, you can do anything. I've been present, I don't mention the name and the opera, that the conductor and the orchestra and the singer been 3-4 pages apart because she forgotten something, she jumped.
Gracious.
And I saw something which was a wonderful lesson for me. I was a young man. He hauled and chased. And I met.
Fantastic.
I would think the curtain must fall down. No, I met.
You speeded up the orchestra?
Yes, and she began to sing slow. It was a lady. Slow and slow. And I got it. I managed.
Wonderful.
I mean, this is an extreme case. I hope you won't come to that.
And then you'll find after your singing is finished, that he continues your music on for another 7 bars, in fact. And so that you should actually still be going on, like the clockwork slowly running down. And in fact, what you do is that you, just at the very end of it, you kind of fall out through the doors backwards as the music dies down. So we leave him then by himself.
Out of my way, you driveling idiot!
My instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but I am only following my orders. My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Clear off! Go!
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. You can't go in. You really can't go in.
Oh, what bitter shame!
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
Oh, I'm so ashamed!
You can't go in. You can't go in.
You're still there? Yes. Come back. Good. That was quite accurate. But what happened was that you got so stuck on being accurate that we lost the reason why this man dribbles on. Gradually the character kind of drained away, and in the end you were just sort of standing there. And then actually when you'd stopped singing, you suddenly remembered, oh, I've got to be acting. And then you started doing the stick sing. So the thing now is to actually get involve the character in every word that you say.
My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Really?
No. Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired.
No, okay.
You can't go in.
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. Now you're getting... Build it up a bit now. In other words, you must characterize now, as the conductor wanted, characterize it in color. Think of can't. I'm sorry you can't go in. I'm sorry you can't go in. You can't go in. My lady say you can't go in. I don't care who you are.
Yes.
Right? So create it within your body, think, even though you sing it, think inside that you are beginning to lose your temper as well. Now show me that.
Angry?
Yes.
All right.
Once again.
Out of my way, you drivelling idiot.
My instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but I am only following my orders.
You are drunk,
My
sir.
lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Clear off.
Get out.
Please excuse me, but you can't go in.
Yes,
My lady's
I want to
very
in. Come
tired.
on.
You can't go
That's
in.
it.
You really
That's it. That's it. You can't go in. That sounds great.
Just like all characters in all operas, Potapitch has to be kitted out with suitable clothes. And that's the job of the costume designer. For the gambler, it's Sue Blaine. I'm going to walk like that.
That would be wonderful.
Like a very old...
Have you got a stick?
Yes.
Great. Because what if you bend over and have a look in the mirror, see what we'll probably do is start to really make all this crease up a bit, so it looks
Yes.
like he's been standing like that for several hundred years.
But makeup is something opera singers are normally left to do for themselves. Eric Shilling's already decided how we'll each turn ourselves into a 90-year-old Potapitch.
Oops. If you get a good makeup on, you really feel as though you're the character. The one thing your own face has to contribute to this, or the main thing, is the eyes. The first thing I always do is to underline the inside of the lower lid, which enlarges the eye.
Where?
We put a little bit of white around there. All right, would you like to try that?
That's dangerous.
No, not in the least. Mind, don't poke your eye.
Well, absolutely.
Gently does it. And
Oh, wow. I can't.
it is very effective if you can do it.
There's nothing coming off. I'm crying already. Can I get away with not doing this, do you think?
Yes, I'm sure you can.
There's a limit.
This is a tip I got from a chap who used to work for Hammer Films. Now, they look terribly heavy, I know, close up.
And a bag under the eye. That's no trouble.
Gallerites are about 250 yards away from you.
Extraordinary. Like a red Indian.
Now, try the blue.
Oh, dear.
All right.
Smudged it a bit.
Don't worry.
It's a most peculiar feeling, isn't it? It's gone on my upper eyelids as well. Hammer Horror is right.
And there we are. All right. By far the most important part of the transformation scene will be the wig. All over the forehead and everything.
That's gone all over me.
We're getting there. Right. And the next thing is the moustache. Long there, a little on there.
I think I'm going to have to get a haircut, aren't I? That looks a bit dapper to me.
Can you put it more at an angle like mine is? It'll come, yes, don't worry.
Do I look 90?
At least.
A fortnight before the opening, singers and orchestra get together for the first time. The weeks of rehearsal now have to pass the scrutiny of the conductor. On this production, Romanian-born Christian Badea.
Ta-ri-ra-ra. Right after you hit the marcato on the last quaver, make diminuendos. Trombones, that was a bit much.
Every conductor is a bully, somehow, some way. You have to be. You have to pull hundreds of people together.
It doesn't do to be enemies with a conductor. He could make life very difficult for you.
No, quite opposite. You should be friends with you. That's the job together. You produce something together. It's not like a management and workers. It's not like that. It's not BL. I don't mean that.
Number 415.
You produce together, working for the same aim.
Out of my way, you blithering idiot.
My instructions are that no one may go in. I apologize, but I am only following my orders.
You're drunk.
My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Clear off. Go!
Please excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. You can't go in. You really can't go in.
Oh, what bitter shame.
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
Oh, I'm so ashamed.
You can't go in. You can't go in.
Very nice. This is your official debut with the opera. You did very well. The only thing is that you will see once you get on stage and you have the makeup and the costume and you have to act and there is no score in front and the conductor is just a blur out there in the pit, things will get much more difficult.
What's the worst thing I could get wrong?
The worst thing that you could get wrong would be to freeze, to go on stage and just go blank. That will be the worst, because that will throw John Tomlinson off, and that will ruin the scene.
Well, I hope I don't do that, but I am going to be nervous. Is there a cure for first night nerves?
We all go through that. And everybody copes individually with it.
Prayer. It's quite good. A silent, rapt prayer. I mean, it doesn't matter what sort of deity you address, but it will give you confidence, even though, in fact, there's no one up there to give it to you. Anyway, the best of luck.
My big night on the stage of the London Coliseum has arrived. This unhappy gladiator can only picture the audience of 2,500 people who are already starting to arrive on the other side of the arena. To them, the cast change just means there's a substitute singer. They don't know he's a beginner, singing in opera, in public, for the first time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your half-hour call. A half an hour, thank you. Would all visitors kindly...
Take it easy. Be a little nervous. Everybody is. There we are. I won't say any more.
I hope you enjoy it, Geraint. It's nice to see you.
You better be good.
All right.
Cheerio.
It can loom very large, a very small part, if you're not confident of it. And there can quite easily be that moment in which that small part can look like Othello.
True. And to make matters worse, some of the audience have been asked to give their unbiased opinion. Music broadcaster Richard Baker is here. So is television music producer and presenter Humphrey Burton, unaware of the anxiety backstage.
Are you jittery?
I have to admit, I am quite jittery, yes. Yes,
well, I'm very smug, I'd like to say. I'm just
well, shame on you, you're just going to sit there.
Sit back there and watch you and Christopher sort it out.
Gentlemen of the orchestra, this is your second and final call, ladies and gentlemen of the orchestra.
The music critic and writer on opera Gillian Widdicombe is here. And so are probably the sternest critics of all, the Crouch End All-Stars.
They're all anxiously awaiting the death of the General's grandma.
I'm a little bit worried about the time.
Not under there, no.
Oops, not under
no, don't worry about that. Leave that. Yes, under that one.
This is your 5-minute call, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes, thank you.
I'm worried about having to get my clothes on.
No, you've plenty of time. Don't worry.
Oh, it's the end. Oh, no, that's fine. That's to the left, please.
I'm not on till Act 2, and I'm beginning to wish I were back in the Tufnell Park Tavern with the All-Stars.
Very important that you don't have inhibitions. That you say to yourself, I'm, at this moment, the best character, 90 years old singer in the world. That you tell yourself 5 times before you're going out.
How's that, Eric?
That's marvellous.
This is your Act 1 beginner.
Mr. Jackman, good luck to you. Well, the more confident and relaxed you are, the better.
Right.
And read.
Good luck.
Yeah, great, lovely. Thanks very much. Good night.
I would rather be a George. That's what I am. Rubbish. I would rather be a George.
Once you get on stage and you have to act and there is no score in front and the conductor is just a blur on the pit, things will get much more difficult.
Please don't drop out when I'm singing. A bit higher up.
I think you have the potential to get it right. The rest of it depends quite a lot on your having the nerve and the confidence to deliver the goods.
Miss Burgess to the stage, please. Miss Burgess to the stage.
Which is easier said than done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At tonight's performance, the role of Poker Pitch will be sung by Mr. Christopher Searle. Thank you.
It's like a boxer in the ring. Once you're in that ring, boy, you either know it or you don't, or you land on the floor.
As a Russian, I amaze myself and beg you, think of pleasure, think of pleasure.
Your call, please. Miss Howard, Mr. Searle, and promptside prop staff to assist. Your calls, please. Miss Howard, Mr. Searle, and promptside prop staff to
The
assist.
worst thing that you could get wrong would be to freeze, to go on stage and just go blank.
It could be quite catastrophic if either of us makes a mistake. It also lands the other one in an awful lot of trouble too.
Has lost 100
And there'll be a dreadful moment, awful moment of stepping actually onto the stage and suddenly seeing beyond that dark auditorium, that great cavern with the dimly lit faces staring up at you and waiting for you to actually deliver the goods.
This is it. My first cue to sing is uncomfortably close.
You'll want here.
You cannot go inside.
Have you gone mad as well?
Oh, sir, you can't go in.
What impertinence!
You can't go in. Oh, sir, you can't go in.
At last. How could she leave me for Prince Nielski when we were almost married? She would not even look at me and cut me to the quick. Oh, idiot!
My instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but I am
I-
only following my orders.
You're drunk!
My lady specially requested me to guard the door.
Clear off! Go!
Excuse me, but you can't go in. My lady's very tired. You can't go in. You really can't go in.
Oh, what bitter shame!
I am sorry, but you can't go in.
Oh, I'm so ashamed!
You can't go in. You can't go in.
Well, I have to admit, I was absolutely panic-stricken. Seconds before I walked on the stage, I was going over the words to myself, over and over again.
Well done, Chris. I heard that on the tannoy. It's very good.
Nobody heard the first word, which is the word my instructions, because I heard myself croak that. My instructions. Very, very good. Thank goodness it's over, that's all I can say.
I would never believe from the day we started. It was incredible.
They're all going to take our subsidy away. Well, what do we need to pay these people for? Any old fool can walk in off the street and do it.
It didn't seem to me there was anything about the voice that would strike one as very promising. I think if I were to judge him without knowing who he was, I would probably have thought that he was an old pro who'd slightly missed the boat. And was quite lucky to have the job, but nevertheless was doing it with great competence and efficiency and professionalism.
My instructions are that no one may go in.
What?
I apologize, but
I...
The duty.
You're drunk.
Chris, be careful in the first phrase that you don't get too fast.
I'm glad it turned out so well, because it may not have done, but it did.
You got me worried. I think I'm on the way out.
In this opera, very few of the characters are actually sympathetic, and yet he was a sympathetic character. You know, the old retainer hanging around with big feet and big hands, and it was a reasonable performance. I wouldn't like to hear him in a piece like Aida or anything where you really have to sing, however.
Chest all out. The chest must come. How are you feeling?
Fine.
Oh, good. Point at Gordon. I look forward to your next part, but don't ask me to come with you next time.
On a recording, we would have done it again, but in a performance, it's very good, and you held your own very well.
He hasn't got a good enough voice, let's be brutal about it. He's got a great personality, winning ways, but they aren't enough in opera. Only the very, very best get through to the top.
Next week, it's Paul Heine's turn to take the plunge as the human element of the winning combination One Dog and His Man, in at the deep end, next Friday at the same time, 9:30.